Hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make something which is not baking. It's going to be a pea and bacon risotto. So a very simple dish. It takes about 90 minutes to make, but I like it very much. I've only had it once. I made it once before, but it's very, very good. And basically it's just rice with some shallots, some peas which you cook. You make a puree with the shallots and the peas, and that then later on gets added into the risotto rice. You cook the rice in a ham stock or a vegetable stock, and then you add some bacon in that you've previously fried off. So it's a very, very simple dish, but it's very, very tasty. You could actually put some parmesan on the top if you wanted to, but I don't think it needs it particularly, although it's an Italian dish. I don't think it needs it. So I'll go on to the ingredients. And for the ingredients, I have 280 grams, which is 1 1/3 cups of carnaroli rice. And so this is a risotto rice. You could use arborio rice, that will work fine as well. I have 250 grams, 2 cups of frozen peas. I have 100 grams, which is half a cup plus 1/3 of a cup, roughly, of chopped shallots. You could use onion if you wanted, if you don't have shallots or can't get shallots. Then I have 42 grams, 3 tablespoons of butter. I have about 1.5 tablespoons of olive oil. I can adjust the oil if I need it. I have 150 grams, which I worked out is just about a cup of pancetta or bacon. It depends on how it's cut, basically. But this is dry cured bacon lardons, which I like. And then I'm going to use about 2 litres, which would be 8 cups of ham stock. You could use vegetable stock if you don't have ham stock. Here I've got 1 litre, but I'll make another litre for later on as well. And so that's all the ingredients we need for our risotto. And I'll go on to start cooking it, and for that I'm going to start off by frying off the bacon. I'm going to fry off the bacon with just a little drop of olive oil. As I said, I can add more if I need it, but the bacon is likely to release quite a lot of fat. And I want to fry this until it's well cooked. You can fry it to be as crispy as you like. I prefer it cooked, but not too crispy for my own taste. So as you can see, that's frying, and I'm just going to fry that until it's begun to crisp a little bit, and it will colour and it will release the fat. So the bacon has cooked as much as I want it to. You could cook it a little bit more if you wanted to, if you like it crispier than that. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to strain that off. And set that to one side. We'll use that later. And I should say that I have my stock in a pan, keeping it warm on the stove, because we want to use warm stock when we're making this risotto. So with the bacon out of the pan, I'm simply going to use the fat that's in the pan, and I'm going to fry off the shallots to soften them. Just for 2 or 3 minutes. So the shallots have softened and they've begun to colour a little bit. So that's good enough like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add in half of the peas, that's 125 grams. And then onto that I'm going to put about a cup of my stock. And I'm going to cook that for about 5 minutes, and then once that's cooked I need to put that into a jug and blitz it with my immersion blender into a puree. And so as that's cooking, one thing I didn't mention in the ingredients was the salt. I'm just going to grate a little bit of salt. I don't want too much because the bacon will have salt in it. And that's to taste basically, so the amount you use is entirely up to you. So I've cooked those for 5 minutes and I'm going to put that into a container now so that I can turn it into a puree. So that's the pea mixture with the shallots, and I'm just going to blitz that. And I'm going to add just a little drop more stock into that to loosen it just a little bit. And that's all I have to do to that. And that can then get set aside until we need it later on. And so the next thing to do is to just cook off the rice a little bit, and for that I'm going to just melt about a tablespoon and a half of my butter. And what I have done is I have washed and drained my rice, so that's ready to start to cook, and I'm going to cook that until it becomes just a little bit translucent, and then it's ready to have my stock ladled into it. So that's the rice in, and I'm going to stir that around. To get that coated. So the rice is toasting a little bit in the butter. I want to heat it all through basically. And then I'm going to add stock. I'm going to add, the stock is hot as I mentioned. and I'm going to turn it down, turn the heat down, and I'm going to let it simmer until the stock has begun to be fully absorbed, and then I'm going to add more, and I'm going to keep doing that until the rice doesn't really want to take any more liquid, and that will be an indication that it should be cooked through. Now you can season this with salt and pepper again, and I always say it's entirely a matter of taste. I personally don't like too much salt in things, but some people prefer more. So as that begins to absorb, I'm going to add more, and I'm going to keep doing that, as I said, stirring it as necessary until I've used probably all of my stock, 2 litres, but I may not need all of it. It depends on how well it absorbs, basically. I have used almost all of my 2 litres or 8 cups of stock, and I used a little bit to loosen the pea puree just a little bit more, and I'm now going to add that into the rice, because that rice has now absorbed all the liquid and it is softened very well. And I'm going to stir that around. And then I'm going to add in the other 125 grams of peas, and I'm going to cook that until the peas are cooked. And I'll keep stirring it as they cook. And I'll just have a taste so that I can see whether I need to adjust the salt seasoning. I don't think it needs very much at all, actually, but because the stock has salt in it, but I think that's good. So once those peas have cooked, I'm ready to plate up, and for that I will stir in probably 3/4 of my bacon, and then I can sprinkle the remainder on the top once it's been served. So once this is cooked, I'll come back and we'll serve it. So I have stirred in my pieces of bacon, and as you can see, the risotto is thickening up even more as it is off the heat and it begins to cool down a little bit. So I've put some onto a plate, and I'll show you that. And I've added, so 2/3 of the bacon went into the risotto, and the other third is reserved for putting on the top. So I'll have a taste of this. It is very, very good. Until a couple of months ago, I'd never had risotto, but I've made this twice now, and it is excellent. And it has a lovely flavour of the peas, and it's nice and creamy with that risotto rice, the carnaroli rice, I think it's called. And then you get the bacon as well. So very, very good indeed, and it's actually quite easy to make, and it's taken no more than about an hour and a half all told, and that includes a good 45 minutes for adding in the liquid into the rice as it cooks. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, which will take you to a link for this recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well. And I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.